everyone, welcome to the Envelopes Emmy Contender Series. I'm Yvonne Villarreal, and today we're talking to David Harbour, who plays Police Chief Jim Hopper in Netflix's sci-fi drama Stranger Things. And we'll be taking your questions as well, so shoot them over in the comment section. Thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Sometimes I forget that the first season takes place in the span of a week.
Yeah.
Is that crazy to think about, that all that stuff happens? It's like a week from hell.
I know, yeah, those people do go through a horrible time in that week. I know, it's very stressful, and it ain't over either. So, yeah. But we did have a bit of a break in between. We're starting up like a year later now, so they've had some time to rest and recuperate, get some sleep.
What questions did you have at the end of season one?
I mean, I think I had the same questions that everybody had in terms of what happened to 11? Why is Hopper leaving those Eggo waffles in the thing? What's the deal with the lab? Is the Upside Down still around? Things like that. The only questions I didn't have were questions, a lot of people seem to think that Barb might be resurrected, and I had no illusions about that. I had to let her go completely.
Poor Barb.
Well, I know, I love Barb.
I love Barb. But yes, the season 2 picks up a year later, but did you wonder what Hopper was doing that next day or the week out? And do we see some of that in flashbacks? Can you tease that?
We do have some flashbacks in season 2 where we fill in some gaps, but going into season 2, that was really interesting to me to have it be a year break and to see sort of how to start him out in this year 2, because he's had this kind of magical event where he saved this kid, right? Mm-hmm. And then in that year interim before our season starts again, how does that change a man? What does that do to his psyche? And where does he start season 2? And so that was all very interesting to me. Yeah.
What was it like? I mean, after this show came out in July last year?
July, yeah.
To see the way the hysteria around it sort of swelled, being a part of something like that, what was that like for you? I
mean, it was new. I've never been a part of something like that before in my life. Most of my stuff has been very unsuccessful. I've been very lucky. So now having this, but it really was one of those things. No, it was one of those things though where I've done a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
I've done a lot of supporting work and different stuff, and occasionally you have my phone has like 100 people in it, of which I talked to 10, right? But you have all these numbers from random people you met. And occasionally when I'll do work, something will come out and you'll get 2 texts from people, right? And that weekend, my entire phone just went off. People had seen the show and loved it. And then these articles came out from BuzzFeed, these things what Stranger Things character are you, and all those things. And so
did you take the quiz?
I did, yeah. I was the monster. I got the monster. I didn't get Hopper. My stand-in though got Hopper, which kind of scared me. Yeah, so hopefully I'll be in season 2. I did shoot a lot, so I think it made some of it in there. But yeah, I got the monster. It was very embarrassing. Apparently the best one to get was Barb, and I did not get Barb either. Did you get Barb? Who'd you
didn't take it, but now
all right,
I feel
well,
like I should pull it up
I
now.
feel like you're going to get Barb.
Yeah. She's my spirit animal.
I know, mine too.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and just, do you have a Twitter account? Were people tweeting at you like crazy?
Yeah, well, that was the thing.
Getting fan art?
Yeah, no, I just got on Twitter. I got on a couple years ago, but I never really used it because nobody followed me, and I was I don't know what, I feel weird about it, and then the show came out, and I was starting to, and people just it just became an onslaught, and I got kind of addicted, and I actually was doing a play in New York, and I tore my Achilles tendon.
Oh, no.
And I was bedridden. I had to get surgery, and I was bedridden for 2 months, basically, with it lifted up in the air. And thank God for Twitter, I have to say, because all I did was all day long, I looked at fan art and read fan fiction about Hopper and Joyce getting together and the steamy scenes between the. I was this is fantastic. I really loved it. I love the passion of the fans.
Give him more, guys.
Please, I'll read it all day. Hopper Joyce making out. I'll read it all day long. I love it.
Well, and was it a thrill to be working with Wynonna?
Yeah. She's like, I mean, she was like, my crush when I was growing up in high school, Heathers and Beetlejuice and all that stuff. And then, like, to meet her and to find that she is just such a great person to work with, and her work is so personal, and like, she was so game to jump in with me, and she's just so game, and like, you work with all kinds of people you like, you don't like, and they can be, we all have our own process, but our processes just melded together so well, and so it was like a dream. Yeah, it was really terrific.
Well, let's flash back to how this sort of came to you. I mean, you got the script shortly after NBC decided not to move forward with State of Affairs, right?
That's correct. Yeah, like the week before.
The week before.
Yeah.
So were you even thinking about, like, were you kind of like, I don't know?
Well, like, we were sort of up in the air waiting to see if State of Affairs got picked up again. It didn't look great. And so we had like a month off, and I was actually auditioning for stuff, and it was like one of these things where I was auditioning for a bunch of stuff, and it wasn't going to me. It was like, and stuff that I liked, and I was like, oh my God. And I really had this moment where I was like, I'm done. Like, I've done some movies and like done some TV shows, and now Hollywood
really,
is like,
you took it far.
I did. I mean, my neurosis is very sophisticated, but I was like, I am done. Like, Hollywood is done. They're done with David Harbour. They are finished. And then these two dudes, these young
Duff
North
brothers.
Carolina Duffer brother dudes, like, sent me the script, and they were like, I heard like they're really interested in you for this, and I was like, no, this is like a lead in a Netflix. This is amazing. Like, there's no way I'm going to get this. And then, but they were really interested in me, and the script I thought was just so beautiful, so well written, so sweet and fun and exciting, It was like an indie movie, and you throw in like, Jaws, like a shark or something. It's like you have like the killing, something that's like intense and personal and all that stuff, and then you also have like a space monster that like comes to us upside. It was like perfect. I loved it. So yeah, so they sent it to me, and I went in and I like read one scene for the casting director, and it was pretty much on there. Like, me and Wynonna signed on very early, and then the kids
Did you have a
signed
tactic?
on.
Did you like come in with like garb or anything to make them see this guy as you?
I did have actually one thing, which I normally don't do that much stuff, but I did have a hat.
A hat.
Like, my idea with him right from the very beginning was that he's someone who wants to hide, because he does have so much shame.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to get through the day, and he's just going back to get drunk and like die basically in his hometown. And he has to make money, so he takes his sheriff job, which there is this psychology behind that choice anyway. But I did have a hat, because I thought like the last thing he wants to do is people to see his bloodshot eyes. The last thing he wants people to do is like read expressions on his face of like, anger and sadness and stuff. So I wore like a baseball cap, basically like the whole way, pretty much down the whole way, just kind of peeking out. And I remember Carmen Cuba was like, do you want to do one without the hat? Maybe they could see your face. And I was like, no, I think we're good. We got it. And then because the hat idea was my idea when we came in to shoot. It wasn't in the script.
Okay.
And I said to the Duffers, like, I think you should have this hat that like his grandfather wore. It's called an open road. Like, Eisenhower used to wear it. It's a specific kind of hat. It's not quite a fedora. But I was like, I think you should have this hat that like was passed on from his grandfather, who like maybe was in World War II, and or like, no, his dad might have been in World War II, and he grew up without a father, and he had this hat that he like hung on to. And they were like, I don't know if it works. And then we got it, and I got it designed and everything. And they were like, we don't really like it. And I was like, we're going to shoot it. My one thing I want. And then like, people loved it. And I think it's a great thing too, because it does have that, it rides the line of, it is a very real personal piece, but it also has that swashbuckling, like Indiana Jones type flair of like an anthropologist with a fedora who's running around tombs,
Did you find yourself really jazzed by what you could do with this character? Because, I mean, when we meet him, we see the picture of his dead daughter, or presumably dead. I go by the theory that 11 might be the daughter.
Okay. Okay.
But so we see he's this, tortured guy, and he's just sort of going through each day. He has his habits, and, he's just trying to get through each day. But was that sort of exciting for you to play this sort of person that starts out as the anti-hero and sort of develops into a true hero by the end of it, at least in season 1? How was that for you to sort of dive into that?
Yeah, you like hit it just exactly what you said. Like I mean, I think one thing a couple people commented on about my performance is if you take anything from it, you can tell that like David Harbour's having a really good time, like just like being kind of fat and like unzipped with his pants on the deck, smoking cigarettes and like drinking beer in the morning. Like there is a quality to that shower scene, the whole opening montage, which I just like relished. I was like, oh, like so rarely do you get to play like a lead character in a TV show where they don't want you to be, and the Duffers are so human. Like they want the real, they want the like love handles, they want the like receding hairline. Like they don't want you to be perfect. And so rarely do you get a chance to do that, where you get to play a mess, but you're actually a mess. That I was like, oh, I'm going for it, man. I am all in. I am gonna be a mess. And it's like very liberating. You don't have to spend much time in the makeup chair. It's fantastic. I'd highly recommend it for your next interviewing job to be like, to have her have like an alcohol problem and like, yeah, be pill popping because it's fantastic. The amount of prep time you save is incredible.
Keep in mind next time.
Yeah.
Maybe you could give me some lessons.
I'll give you some tips. Yeah, well, I'll help you out.
And how about sort of like even you mentioned Indiana Jones, you have that sort of save the day type moments in the show when you save the kids from the bus and stuff like that and just fighting with people. Was that just like super fun?
Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, I can't tell you how fun that is. Like there was one moment where to me it's like an iconic Hopper moment where he goes to the morgue and he's trying to get in to see the body and this guy goes like, no, I work for O'Bannon. Like what? And the guy's like, I don't know O'Bannon. And he has this moment where he goes like, and then he just punches him, right?
Yeah.
And I love that so much. And I remember there were some meetings where like Netflix was like, can't Hopper like outsmart him?
Can they not
like can't
hit him?
Hopper like? And they were like, no, it's funny. Like he just punches people. Like when he gets at a loss for words or whatever, he just hauls off and decks people. And I was like, that's great. I mean, that to me is what like when I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark. And apparently this is a story of Harrison Ford being hung over a day of shooting. He didn't want to shoot. But that scene where the guy comes out with the sword and is like doing this, Harrison Ford was supposed to have a big sword fight with him. And then on the day he was like, I don't want to do it. And he had the gun and he just reaches out and shoots him. And like those type of iconic like characters that we, the Duffers and I both grew up watching and loving as like men of that era, that's what we wanted to bring to this guy. And I was like, oh, like I love that stuff too. So I was so excited to be able to do that. Yeah, like.
Do you have a favorite moment
in the show? I mean, I really can't pick. I gotta say, like, because it's so.
Was it interesting to sort of watch it? Like, I assume you watched
beyond
it.
Interesting.
To
like,
see how it all sort of came together.
I hadn't seen anything. Like I'd seen a bit of 1 and 2 in a rough cut. But I hadn't seen the whole thing until everybody watched it, like on July 15th or whatever, right? And I sat down in my apartment. I was doing this play, so I got home at like 10 at night, and I just put them on from 3 on, and I couldn't stop watching.
Did you watch daylight or before bed?
No, I was like 4 in the morning. I was like, no, but you know, I knew what was coming. But I will say I got lost in it. So to the point where, and this is sad and pathetic, I was on my couch, just to warn you, I was on my couch in the East Village watching the scene where I'm saving Will, and I'm crying on my couch going, he saved that little boy. He saved that little boy. Like, forgot completely that it was me, that I was involved in the show. I was just like, whoa, he saved that little boy. It was like,
were you drunk and like,
no, I was just like drunk on Duffer magic. I love the show. I mean, and I am so rarely proud of things that I do. I see all the flaws. And that was one where it really is those creators and directors, those Duffer brothers, who are just true geniuses. And it's something where you shoot something and you feel like it's good, and then you see it cut together and you see it in the context, and you're like, and they just elevate it. And that's so special and rare that like, I really think those guys are just something else. So. Well,
in addition to me, a lot of our Twitter folks have been asking, we want to talk about the kids.
Okay.
What was it like on set?
Nightmares. All of them.
Right?
Horrible human beings.
Were they all like, I mean, I don't know how old each of them are, but was it a smelly set?
Oh my God. I mean, that's actually, I was joking before.
I have brothers.
Yeah. No, it's the farting that goes on with 12-year-olds. The amount of bodily functions that they can't control is amazing. There's like all kinds of like booger, like things that like, you know, when you go to work, you should not have to deal with someone like, yeah, it was bad. But, and also now, you know, they're growing up, right?
Yeah.
So like they were like 11, 12. Now they're like 13, they're getting to be 14, and you know what happens then, right?
Yep.
It's like the hormone, like the whole hair growing out of place. Like it's like weird to watch a human being develop.
Bringing girls to the set?
Not yet, but they
Not
do
yet.
have like, there are like little moments of weirdness.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Somebody talks about somebody like, you know, oh, did you hear he was kissing? And I'm like, I gotta leave, excuse me. I have to go to my trailer and sulk.
What was
Get away
that?
from me, you young weirdos.
What was that like, though, being on a show with like 4 or 5 kids?
I mean, like, honestly, like, it's great and it's horrible. Like, because you have that thing where, you know, it's like children. Like, they're great and they're horrible.
Yeah.
Like, you want to just sort of get your workday done. And, like, they just are crazy children. And then you shoot them. But then they break your heart because you're like, come on, guys.
Good.
Like, come on, like, let's do this. And then you do it. And they're all like, hey, man, can I get a hug? And you're like, oh, man. When I yell at actors, man, they don't ask for hugs after. Why are you guys so adorable?
Were they wanting to do like Instagram and Snapchat with you, or
They
show
show
you how to do it?
Well, yeah, they helped me out. Like Millie sort of helped me out with some of that and stuff. I don't really understand it. The Snapchat I really don't understand. Yeah. But they weren't that into it. It was more after the show came out, like this season.
Oh yeah.
The
They've
Instagram,
been all over it.
the like Snapchat. I am like, yeah. I'm tired of myself on those mediums. Imagine how tired I am of them on them.
Did you ever get a peanut butter sandwich? Peanut butter and jelly? Where did they
Did
give
I order
those
one
out?
from you? What? No. Excuse me. I got my fries, but I never got my peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
No, was it at the Emmys or the Globes?
Oh no, I did not
Or the
go.
Oscars.
No,
I can't
they
remember.
went to that.
Yeah,
I did not
you
go to
didn't
that.
go?
No, I was.
They didn't bring any to the set?
No, I had an Achilles tendon like held up in the air.
Oh,
like,
that was
in
during
bed,
that. That
like,
was when you were reading the fan fiction.
Exactly, I was
Okay.
reading the fan fiction. No, and there were no peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at the Globes or the SAG Awards. I don't think.
It
Or I
was at
missed
one
them.
of them.
I missed them. Maybe, yeah,
That
one
was
of
at
them.
one of the things they were
Yeah,
doing.
I know. I missed that one. I missed the one fun one.
The one fun
I
one.
know.
What have you thought about all the fan theories that have come out?
I think they're really amazing. Some of them are very sophisticated, and like I can't.
Have you
like,
been swayed by any? Like you're like, oh, I think I believe this one.
Yeah, like I love some of the. You know what the funniest fan theories? There was one dude on Twitter who, and this was like, I love this so much. We released a trailer that said that the show is coming out in Halloween. Mm-hmm. It said Halloween, right? And the dude so wanted to not have to wait to Halloween that he came up with a theory that the trailer was all a ruse and that it was coming out in March because October was upside down in 6 months. Like the numbers and the theory, he constructed this entire theory that the show was coming out this March. And I was like, man, I hope your theory's true, but I know that it's not.
But you know that it's not.
I know that it's not, yeah. No, they're quite sophisticated. Like some of them are really amazing.
I know. I mean, power to them.
Yeah.
Piecing
love
things
it.
together.
I love it.
Meredith on Twitter asked, how will your interpretation of Hellboy be different than what we've seen before? For people who don't know, you're going to be taking on the role.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be doing Hellboy. It'll be, you know, we really want to do our own thing. I think everybody respects those movies and likes those movies. I mean, I just went out with Ron Perlman the other day, and I'm a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of his.
Did he give you tips?
Yeah, he gave me some pointers, which I appreciate. But we're a big fan of those movies, and we're a big fan of like what they did, and so we don't want to do something like what they did. You know, we want those movies to stand as their own, and so we want to take it to a very different place. I think the original comics are a little darker, mm-hmm. and in terms of the character of Hellboy, like he certainly has that bravado, but he's also kind of neurotic and kind of messed up, and I don't know. We just want to sort of try to make him a little darker, I think, and And of course I have my own brand of work on whatever Hellboy psychology is that you'll see, and like, you know, I love what Ron did, and I'm not going to try to compete with it in any way, because it is what it is, and I'm going to just try to bring my own thing and my own take on like who this like messed up demon boy who's like fated to end the world and really doesn't want to, and sort of where that's going to go, and I think it'll be, I hope it'll be interesting. I really do.
Did he give you any tips with the makeup process?
Yeah, he just said it was like horrible, and it's already shaping up to be that way. Yeah, it's like just hours and hours of like, you know, red paint and horns and.
Do you just sleep through it?
That's a really good, I mean, we haven't started shooting. I hope so, but I feel like that's a great thing. I hope so. I feel like they're gonna eventually say like turn and shit though. Like, I don't know.
Probably.
But I hope I can. Yes, for most of it.
Well, with season 2, given this sort of the fanaticism around season 1, are you nervous about how people are going to react to season 2? It comes with expectations.
Yeah, absolutely terrified.
Absolutely terrified.
Absolutely petrified. No, I mean, that's the thing. Like I you know, I always want people to be moved and enjoy what I've done. It's funny, like, you know, it was actually Andrew Stanton directed a couple of our episodes, and he's a big Pixar guy, and he has done like Toy Story 1 and 2 and 3, right? And like beloved movies, all of them. And I actually talked to him about this, and he had a great quote where he was like, because I was worried, like, because you have this first season and it's kind of clunky. And like the clunkiness is kind of what I like about it almost. That like it isn't sophisticated like a Game of Thrones, something big and sophisticated. And like it's got a clunkiness to it. And I was like, I want to preserve that. And he was like, look, you make the first season and it's like vanilla ice cream. And people like love vanilla ice cream and they're like, this is delicious. And then you come out with season 2 and it's like, you can't try to redo vanilla ice cream. You got to go like, this is strawberry ice cream. And then they go like, okay, like I like vanilla better, but like strawberry's okay, or whatever. But like we don't want to redo the same thing that we did, so we're definitely doing something different. Like there are things that, you know, there's the characters are there, and we're doing but we're definitely moving in like some darker directions, some very different directions that some people I think will love, and I think some people might not like as much. But
I like Neapolitan ice cream.
But you like Neapolitan ice cream, right? So we can do 3 seasons and you'll be okay.
Then I'll be
as long as the last one's chocolate. But then 4th season, no way.
It's like,
that's
cut
it.
it
3
off.
flavors and then we're done. Get out.
With the season finale, the Ego part wasn't originally in the script, right?
It wasn't?
No.
Who told you that?
You know that.
I know, but I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
It's out there.
It's out there. Okay, it's out there.
I don't know what you thought of the audition. Like, did you start thinking, what does this mean? Or like you
Hell yeah. Yeah. And I really, even going and playing the scene, like, you know, we didn't even know we were going to have a 2nd season, to be honest. So we were sort of laying a little bit of pipe that we didn't know exactly how to pay off. And I think they've done something extraordinary with it. But in terms of the actual process of creating that, like we all had a ton of questions when we saw things like that. And you're right.
Did you ask? Did you want to know? Or are you sort of like waiting to see if you have a season 2 before you ask? Like at the end of it, are you asking them? What
yeah, I didn't want to know. I mean, I wanted to know some things, but I didn't want to talk about, because I felt like a very like superstitious.
Okay.
Like I didn't want to talk about like, oh yeah, next season. Because every show I get on where they're all like, well, next season, it's like immediately canceled, like 3 shows in.
You don't get the strawberry, yeah.
Exactly. And so I just don't talk at all. But now what's interesting is since we do have, if we don't totally mess it up, I think we have couple more seasons maybe in us, and we've started to lay some pipe in season 2 that may not even pay off, that I know where it goes in future seasons. And so I know a grander arc now, and that's very liberating to be able to play.
Are all the Christmas lights put away? Can you tell us that?
That was such a fiasco. Untangling Christmas lights is the true tragedy of Stranger Things. People crying, untangle lights. Yeah, it was, no, I don't know where the Christmas lights are. I mean, God, I wish I could make season 2 jokes, because there are some things that happen in that house. But anyway, I can't tell you anything.
Okay. We also have a lot of people asking about the newsroom.
Okay.
And do you wish it were around during this time?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I like Elliot. Elliot was my character on that, and like I mean, Aaron didn't quite. Aaron made him in my because all of Aaron's characters are so smart, and like I really wanted Elliot to be the dumbest one on the show. Like I really wanted him to be the guy who cared most about how many followers he got on Twitter, and like not so much about the news.
Yeah.
And so it would be fun if they brought it back. I really would want Elliot to be like, to have a rift with Will, though, and to be like a real Trump supporter.
Whoa. So you think he'd support the Kofifi tweet, or however you
Yeah,
say
he'd
it?
probably try to justify what that meant, that it was some very sophisticated something about Kofifi. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like you need to text Aaron.
All right,
and
I'll
be
text
like,
him. I'll text him. I
Maybe.
don't think he's going to go for it. I
Wait.
think he's writing like Spielberg movies and stuff.
I have to ask, when was the last time you sent out via text or Twitter or anything the Wynonna meme? I use
God,
it
the
all the
Wynonna
time.
meme. The Wynonna meme. I think I haven't
So
used
thankful
it.
to you for
I know,
that.
it was amazing. I think I haven't used it since like there was after my speech. You know, a bunch of people. Like I think Vanity
You came
Fair.
back and you didn't know about it yet, right?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah.
No. I just remember like I had this speech. I remember I had this speech and I really wanted to get it out, and I knew it was a little too long, and I was like nervous about getting it out, and I was like I didn't want to mess up, and I'm out there and I just handed the award off. I think I told Riz gave us the award, and I was like, just give it to somebody else, please. I got to focus on. And then like as I'm starting the speech, Wynonna just like handed me this like heavy award, and I was like, oh, okay. So I have a heavy award. There's like a child jumping on my back. I'm shrieking, so I couldn't focus on the fact that she was having every emotion possible
Like the
with
biggest
her face.
facial tick.
It was amazing. It was every emotion possible. We would make jokes on set where we could CGI her entire performance just with that 30-second clip, because we don't need to have her feel any. We can just CGI the whole thing.
Wait, you have texted it, I hope, to
Well,
somebody.
I guess what happened was right after the speech, Vanity Fair like interviewed me just to talk a little bit about the speech, and I tweeted out something. Oh, I tweeted out something for clarity. I was like, oh yeah, because they wanted to talk to me about the speech and whether or not it was Trump, and I wanted the speech to be taken much more culturally than about strict politics, and like I thought it was a cultural call to arms with all these like actors and artists and what we do in culture that produces policy, and you know what we want to say as human beings. And so Vanity Fair did this great article, and it said, and I tweeted out the article, and I said, for clarity. And then, people were like, yeah, okay. And then I tweeted out a picture of Wynonna with the pizza
The
meat
pizza was the best
that
one,
went into
right?
my mouth. And then it came back around and came back around. And then I went for further clarity. And I think people like that tweet a lot more.
I feel like you
Twitter.
got to resurrect it before in promotion of season 2 once we get closer. Although maybe we missed it. It premiered in March, right?
It premiered in March. That guy was right all along. You guys missed it.
You guys missed
Season
it.
2 is out there. It's so good.
Okay, well, we're going to end things with a lightning round.
Oh, okay.
Get ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
Last show you binge watched.
Oh my God. It's been a long time. I guess Sense8.
Okay. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
What show that you love would you want to sit and watch someone else enjoy for the first time?
The Larry Sanders Show.
Ooh, good one. If you could go back and be on any classic show, what would it be?
Three's Company.
Oh, yes. What genre would you like to try? Rom-com?
Yeah.
Musical?
Comedy. I'm sorry, everyone.
Walter White or Tony Soprano?
Tony Soprano.
Okay. What was your first acting job, and what did you learn that you're still using now?
Professional acting job. I was hired to do Shakespeare plays in floating rep in a little theater in Maine. I played Lucentio in Taming of the Shrew. That was my plum role.
Wow.
And what I learned to do in that theater was I was in the background of a lot of scenes because I would have scenes where I just have to stand there. And
So
I was
face.
well, no, but I remember being very like, hardworking as a young actor, and I would like be in the background of a scene like crying, like doing all. And my friend, who was a bit more jaded than me, saw this was happening, and was like, "That's the last day this is gonna happen," and proceeded to mess with me on stage and like poke me during scenes and stuff. So I guess what I learned most of all was to like not take myself too seriously. That's like the best.
Do you tell the
acting
kids
advice.
on set that?
No. That's only for me and you.
Okay.
Where's my peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
Peanut butter and jelly. They're probably out there somewhere bringing them in.
They have to squeeze the peanuts.
Before we end, give me another bad audition story, like you promised.
Okay, I do have this great one where like I did a play in New York. Yeah, because there's another one floating out there about my bad audition story. But this one, I did a play in New York where I was like, this is when I was much younger and I was in very good shape. And so I was like this, handsome guy done this play. And Hugh Jackman was coming to Broadway with The Boy from Oz, okay? And this was a musical where he was like, I think it was like, he was like a Liberace type, like, and he had a young lover. And it was a musical. But they were really interested in me, and they were like, my agents called, and they were like, "Look, David, they just want to set up a meeting." I was like, "I don't do musicals." They were like, "I don't sing. Like, I don't sing, I don't dance." They were like, well, "They know. They just want to have a meeting with you, David. They just think you're a great act. They just want to have a meeting." I was like, "All right, fine, I'll have a meeting." And they were like, "We're just going to send you this sheet music." And I was like, "You don't need to send me the sheet music. Like, I'm good, man. We're just going to have a meeting. We're going to be like sitting and they're like, "We're just going to look at it." I was like, this is already crazy. But then, of course, I show up, and I think it's just going to be like me, like meeting these guys. And I show up, and it's at this place, Shetler Studios in New York, which is like a classic place where like they have dance auditions. And it's literally me. And like I walk in the door in jeans like this, dressed like this, and there are 50 dudes in like leg warmers, like stretching and like singing and like doing this whole thing. And I was like, oh my God. And the door opens and they go, "David, you ready?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." And I walk in the door, and it was like classic Horror Story. Like you walk in the door, there's like 8 people behind a table, and the piano starts. Like, "You ready?" Dun, 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 dun. And I was like, "And when Hugh Jackman, I'm in love with you." And then they were like, "Thank you." Left. And I was like, "Dude, that was not a meeting. That was not a meeting." I was like, how can we humiliate David? Let's give him a bunch of sheet music, pretend that it's a meeting. Yeah, that
Did
was
you ever
horrible.
hear back?
That's it. I canceled the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's been fun.
I hope, was Hugh Jackman in the room? No?
No,
Okay.
no, are you kidding?
Okay.
Jackman wouldn't get near this.
At least there's that. Have you told him that story? Have you ever run into him?
No, I have run into him, but no, I will never tell him that
I'll
story
tell
either.
him next time
Oh
I see
God.
him. Next time Hugh and I do lunch,
I bet
I'll
he
tell
gets
him.
a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's all I gotta say.
Well, David, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
It was a
That was
pleasure.
fun.
This is our own comedy show. For all you, thanks for tuning in. If you want to see more of our Emmy contender chats, head over to latimes.com. Thanks.